Welcome to Mindful English Podcast.
Welcome back to Mindful English. I am James, and I am truly honored to share this space with you today. Joining me is my co-host, Ruby. How are you feeling in this moment, Ruby?
Hello, James. I feel grounded and calm, and I am so grateful to be here. There is something special about starting this journey with all of you, our listeners, as we create a new rhythm for learning English together.
It is a beautiful rhythm, isn't it? We wanted to create more than just a podcast. We wanted to craft a quiet corner in your busy day, a place where you can refine your language without the noise of performance or pressure.
Exactly. Often, we approach English as a series of tasks to be completed. But here, we shift our perspective. We approach it as a practice, a way to expand your world one mindful word at a time. It's about becoming fluent not just in the language, but in the peace that comes with expressing yourself.
That is a wonderful way to put it. When we learn mindfully, we're not just memorizing. We are observing, listening, and truly inhabiting the language. We want you to feel that your voice matters and that your growth is a steady, beautiful process.
I couldn't agree more. And for those who have felt overwhelmed, know this. Your case is the perfect pace. You don't need to rush to be understood. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy of your own progress. We are here to walk this path with you, slowly and thoughtfully.
And that brings us to our vision for this community. We will explore everyday habits, simple mindset shifts, and cozy, authentic conversations. It's about finding the beauty in the mundane details of our daily lives and articulating them in English with elegance and ease.
Yes, elegance and ease. I love those words, James. Learning English should feel like coming home to yourself. It shouldn't feel like a chore. So whether you're having your morning coffee or winding down for the evening, let our voices be the calm soundtrack to your improvement.
I'm curious, Ruby, when you hear the term slow learning, what's the first image that pops into your mind?
Honestly, a walk in the woods. You know, you're not rushing to the end of the trail. You're noticing the trees, the air, the sounds. Why do you ask?
Because I think that's exactly what happens when we remove the pressure. Have you ever noticed how people speak better when they're calm?
All the time, especially when they stop worrying about sounding perfect.
Exactly. That perfection trap is what makes us stumble over our own words.
It's the classic anxiety loop. You worry about a mistake, so you tense up, and then you make the mistake because you're tense.
It's exhausting, isn't it? That's why I love the concept of the quiet 10 minutes.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by quiet 10 minutes?
It's 10 minutes a day where you do absolutely nothing but listen. No phone, no notes, no translation apps, just pure English input.
That sounds almost meditative. Do you think people can really sit for 10 minutes without reaching for their dictionary?
That's the challenge, right? It's about building the muscle of not knowing and being okay with that.
That's a powerful muscle to build. I don't know this word, but I understand the vibe of the sentence.
Precisely. The vibe, or as linguists might say, the context, is often enough to learn the meaning.
It changes the brain's focus from I need to translate this to I need to feel this.
And feelings are much easier to remember than dictionary definitions, don't you think?
1,000%. When you feel an emotion attached to a phrase, it sticks.
So let's give our listeners a challenge. How can they start their own slow learning journey today?
I'd say pick one favorite short story or even a 3-minute video, something you genuinely enjoy.
And then what? Should they take notes?
No notes, just listen, once for the fun of it, and once more just to catch the rhythm.
I love that. Rhythm is the heartbeat of any language.
It really is, and once you catch that rhythm, you stop translating in your head.
You start thinking in the language rather than just processing it.
Which is the holy grail for any learner, isn't it?
It's the ultimate goal. So let's talk about consistency. How does one stay consistent without burning out?
By making it a ritual, not a chore, like morning coffee.
Or like our practice of sitting here just talking.
Exactly. If it's a ritual, you don't have to find the motivation to do it. You just do it.
It becomes part of your identity. You're not a person trying to learn English, you're a mindful English speaker.
That shift in identity is everything.
I'm curious, Ruby, have you ever had a moment where you felt fluent despite knowing you had limited vocabulary?
Yes, it was in a cafe in France. I knew maybe 50 words, but I was so present, so connected to the moment, that the interaction flowed perfectly.
That proves it. Presence outweighs perfection every single time.
It's all about the connection. When you're connected, the language just follows.
That's such a beautiful takeaway for our listeners. Focus on connection, not collection of words.
Less is definitely more. Less pressure, more progress.
That's a great idea, Ruby. Choosing content can feel overwhelming, can't it? There's so much out there. How do we keep it slow and mindful when the internet is so loud?
It's all about curating your environment. I always tell people, don't look for educational content first. Look for enjoyable content.
I love that distinction. If you enjoy the topic, the language becomes a secondary, effortless gain.
Exactly. If you love gardening, watch a slow-paced video about plants in English. If you love cooking, watch a chef preparing a meal without any music, just the natural sounds of the kitchen.
So it's about aligning your hobbies with your language practice.
Yes, because when you're interested, your brain is naturally more alert and engaged. You're not forcing the information, you're soaking it up.
And what about the level? Some people feel they have to start with children's books because they're beginners.
I think that's a trap. While children's stories are fine, they might not be what you actually care about as an adult.
Right, it can feel a bit disconnected from your real life.
Exactly. The secret is finding content that is authentic but simple. Maybe a travel vlog where the host talks about their daily routine, or a cozy podcast like this one, where the rhythm is steady and clear.
So look for clarity, not simplicity.
That's a brilliant way to put it, James. Clarity means the speaker is easy to follow, not that the content is childish.
And what's the limit? Should our listeners be looking for long videos or sticking to shorter ones?
I'd recommend starting small, maybe a 5-minute video, but watch it with total focus. Remember, we are aiming for depth, not volume.
Depth over volume. I think our listeners are starting to get the pattern now.
I hope so, because once you find that sweet spot of content you love and understand, the study pressure just melts away.
It truly does. And in the next part, I think we should talk about how to deal with those days when we do feel stuck, even with our favorite content.
Feeling stuck is such a natural part of the journey, James. I'm glad we are talking about this.
It happens to everyone. You find a great video, you sit down with your tea, and suddenly your brain just says no. The words look like a blurry puzzle.
Yes, the blurry puzzle phase. When that happens, the first reaction is usually guilt. We think, I should be trying harder. But trying harder in that moment is exactly the opposite of being mindful.
Precisely. If you push through a mental block with force, you just create more stress. And as we discussed earlier, stress completely blocks learning.
So what is the mindful response to hitting a wall?
Step away. Seriously. Close the book, pause the audio, and just step away.
Give yourself permission to rest.
Yes, sometimes your brain is just full. It needs time to process everything you've already given it. Did you know that sleep is actually when most language consolidation happens?
That's a beautiful reminder. We don't grow while we are lifting the weights, we grow while we're resting afterwards.
Exactly. But if you feel like you don't want to completely step away, you can just change the texture of your practice.
What do you mean by changing the texture?
Well, if reading a chapter feels too heavy today, switch to passive listening. If listening feels too demanding, maybe just look at a few aesthetic English quotes online or write one simple sentence in your journal.
Oh, I really like that. So you stay connected to the language, but you lower the cognitive load.
Exactly. Lower the bar until it feels manageable again. Consistency doesn't mean doing a high-intensity study session every day. Sometimes consistency is just doing a gentle stretch.
Sometimes consistency is just doing a gentle stretch. I think that should be our quote of the day.
It's true. A gentle stretch keeps the muscles warm. In our case, it keeps the language pathways open without causing exhaustion.
I think people underestimate the power of simply observing the language without aggressively trying to extract meaning from it.
It's the difference between staring at a painting to analyze every single brushstroke versus just letting the colors wash over you and enjoying the mood.
That is exactly the vibe we want to cultivate here on Mindful English. So the next time our listeners feel stuck or overwhelmed,
They should take a deep breath, make a cup of tea, and remember that resting is a highly productive part of learning.
perfectly said. And speaking of productive practices, I think in the next segment we should give them a concrete step-by-step mindful routine they can actually try tomorrow morning.
I love that idea. Let's design a little morning ritual for the mindful learner.
That sounds like a wonderful bridge to build. A morning ritual that isn't about rushing to the office or checking emails, but about centering yourself in English. What should this morning mindful ritual look like?
Let's keep it simple. It should be no more than 15 minutes. The first 5 minutes are for awakening. Just sit, drink your coffee or tea, and listen to a short, calm audio in English, something like a daily affirmation or a nature-themed podcast.
I love that. No active output yet, just letting the language wash over you like morning sunlight.
Exactly. The next 5 minutes are for observing. Pick one sentence from what you heard, just one, and write it down in a small notebook. Focus on the shape of the letters and the meaning of the words.
It's a way of physically grounding the language. Writing by hand is so different from typing. It's slower and more deliberate.
Yes, and that intentionality is exactly what we mean by mindful. The final 5 minutes are for reflecting. Just think about one way you can use a word from that sentence in your day, or even just say it out loud while looking in the mirror.
Say it out loud. That's crucial, isn't it? Giving the language a voice within our own bodies.
It is. It stops the language from being something out there and makes it something in here.
So, 15 minutes, 5 for listening, 5 for writing, 5 for speaking. It's consistent, manageable, and very calm.
And the best part, it sets a tone of mindfulness for the entire rest of your day, not just for your English practice.
That is the beauty of it. It's a practice that spills over into everything else.
Absolutely. When you start your day by being kind to your brain and intentional with your learning, you carry that kindness with you.
I think our listeners now have a very clear step-by-step path to start with. It's not about intensity, it's about the quality of the moment.
And in our final session, I think we should talk about how to sustain this over the long term and how to embrace the natural seasons of our language learning journey.
That feels like the right place to conclude our conversation, by looking at the bigger, lifelong picture. That is exactly where we should arrive, Ruby, at the lifelong journey. We've talked about habits, routines, and even how to handle the blurry puzzle days. But what about the bigger picture?
I think it's important to acknowledge that language learning, like life itself, has seasons. There will be seasons of rapid growth and seasons where it feels like you're barely moving forward.
I love that perspective. People often judge themselves for not being in a growth phase all the time. But even trees have a season of dormancy, right?
Precisely. Winter is for resting and strengthening roots. Your English practice might feel quiet for a few weeks. Maybe you're only listening and not speaking, but that doesn't mean you're failing. You're just in a season of gathering.
And then, suddenly, spring comes. You find yourself using a phrase you heard weeks ago, and it just flows out effortlessly.
Yes, the harvest of all that quiet, mindful work.
So the key to long-term success isn't just about discipline, but about trusting the season you are in.
Exactly. If you can trust the process, you remove the anxiety of why amn't I fluent yet and replace it with a curiosity of what is this season teaching me.
That is such a powerful, peaceful way to view language. It turns the whole experience into an adventure rather than a chore.
And that is truly what mindful English is all about. It's not just about the vocabulary, it's about the mindset.
Well, Ruby, it has been an absolute pleasure walking through these layers of mindful learning with you. I think our listeners now have everything they need to start and sustain this journey.
I feel the same, James. It has been a quiet, beautiful exploration.
To all our listeners, remember, your pace is the perfect pace. Stay curious, stay gentle with yourselves, and keep breathing through your practice.
You are doing better than you know. Thank you for sharing this space with us.
Until our next conversation, keep finding the quiet beauty in your English. Take care, everyone.